Good evening. It is Wednesday, October the 30th, about 8:45 p.m. This is meteorologist Shay Gibson bringing you a wind and weather preliminary forecast for the James Lawn Yacht Club Centennial Cup being held this Saturday, November the 2nd at 9 o'clock a.m. Let's go ahead and move me down to the corner so you can see the website here that I'm showing. And here on the main homepage, you can see the upcoming events, the Fall Ocean JIYC Centennial Cup right here. All the instructions are in it. This forecast, along with others that will be to come, possibly tomorrow night, and then a final briefing on Friday night for the skippers meeting at the Yacht Club downtown for the offshore wind and weather is where you can find this. So always come to this page to check for the latest, as things may change in the next 3 to 4 days. Let's go ahead and take a look at the weather. One thing I want to show is the GFS, and this is as of Friday morning. So we're looking at tomorrow night into Friday morning. A cold front is going to come together, and if we look right here on this GR Earth, we can see all this moisture sort of starting to pile up into the southeast region, heading out from the deep south and heading this way. Right now we have southeast winds, light southeast winds, but that's eventually going to turn from the south and become moderate tomorrow. All of this will start to sort of compress and become one cold front as it comes through Friday afternoon or overnight, Thursday night, and into Friday morning. And then we're going to get a shot of moderate northeasterlies Friday, but that's getting a little far ahead from today. Let's go ahead and take a look at this map so you can see what's going on. We have high pressure building out from Texas behind this cold front, and that's what's going to be driving the winds from the northeast on Friday. As you see, that high really pushes towards the southeast pretty quickly. By Friday morning, you're here. And then it quickly moves up towards the Appalachian Mountains and creates this northeast wedge down the coastline. In time, we see another cold front start to develop behind this. And this is from another dip in the jet stream. It's going to bring some cooler air with it. And this high pressure is coming from out west, and it's going to come down over Texas once again, almost a similar pattern. But this high is going to be a little bit stronger to move the secondary front through the area a little quicker and start punching some northerly winds down behind that. If we take a look at the surface map from NOAA, we can kind of get a better idea of what's going to be going on here. So this is Thursday, as of Thursday afternoon. As we get into the night, overnight Thursday night, the front passes through. We have that high pressure setting up that I just talked about. What this does is it sets up the pattern for a couple of northerly wind events. One for Friday with northeast winds, and Saturday is going to get really tricky because we have another dip in the jet stream, which is going to bring another cold front right behind that. And what we end up with by Saturday morning is kind of a tricky situation where high pressure is lodged along the eastern coast and ridging down the coastline. So we end up with a northerly start that could last through midday or early afternoon, but in time we see this front starting to race eastwards. There's going to be a little bit of southerly convergence that's going to try to occur over the Appalachians, which translates to a downslope westerly flow. So what ends up happening is we start north in the morning, and the winds start to back a little bit more from the northwest and from the west-northwest. And some of the models are picking up on this because this northerly drive coming down behind the cold front weakens, and we actually get those winds push through that and downslope to the coast. So if we look at the forward track of this, we see the high pressure building over the area by Sunday morning. This sort of sandwiching event is causing a little bit of, I would say, the confidence levels get a little bit low when we start to say, okay, we're just going to have northwest winds backing to west-northwest. I think things may change. We may see those winds back a little bit more west-southwest on Saturday ahead of that front, and that has yet to be determined. It really depends on how strong this high pressure is in between the fronts when we get to Saturday morning. So for right now, we're still 3-4 days out, or 3.5 days out. Some things can change. Things will be a little bit clearer by the time we get to Friday, and we'll have a better idea of what that means. But if we look at sail flow for the area, and I'm going to pick the Fort Sumter Front Range Light because it's sort of a central point for the Charleston area for the race. Most of the race is going to be happening just offshore Charleston and back into the harbor. If we look at the model spread when we go out in time for Saturday, there's a lot of agreement with a northerly start, and maybe even moderate at that. We may see some northeast winds across the harbor coming up into the low to mid-teens ranges. Now the models are suggesting low teens, but sometimes we see that cooler air advecting over the area over a warmer air mass. We end up with higher wind speeds than what the models can show. So keep that in mind as we start to head forward with these northerly winds this time of the year. When cool air masses overpower warm air masses, that's what we get. Now the model agreement that you see here is from 3 different medium range models. As we get into the afternoon, the winds back more northwest or even west-northwest. This is really kind of, to me, it's a little bit biased at this point based on one or two model runs. So we'll have to wait and see what the model runs tonight and tomorrow's show. We may see these winds straighten back up from the north if that high is strong enough to power through that cold front. If not, the cold front could maybe not weaken as much, and then we end up with west-southwest winds. So we go from like a north over to and backing to west-southwest, and then back to north at nighttime once that cold front passes through. That's going to be the tricky part. So as the Euro is showing, when we get into this is Friday night, and then we start rolling forward into Friday morning, we have that northeast wedge still built in from Friday, so we have some of that residual northeast flow. And you can see here through the day on Saturday, this is getting into Saturday morning, we see those winds straighten out from the north, and they end up being modest. According to the Euro model, this is about 8 or 9 miles per hour, but that could translate to low teens easily. And then as we go through the day, we see the wind starting to back. Now the Euro is also in agreement. Here's the front right here. The crease is just over the Appalachian Mountains. The winds are trying to switch from the southwest ahead of that cold front to line up just ahead of it. And what ends up happening is that high pressure punches through and heads down slope. So the Euro is seeing this as well. Not only GFS and the NAM, but the Euro is seeing it. So we have a lot of agreement here, and there is some merit to it. So we have to continue to watch it, and that's going to happen through the day. So the timing is really going to be tricky on that. Cold fronts have a tendency to slow down in time as we forecast 3 to 5 days out. How many hours, it's unsure of, so that northerly wind could last several more hours before doing any of this backing characteristics that you're seeing here. So keep that in mind. Let's go ahead and take a look at the wave forecast. And if we stop, let's go back to the second. And the winds are going to be, the northeast winds from Thursday and into Friday are going to be steering the swell in from the east eventually. So we do have some southeast flow now, and eventually that's going to translate to east or even east-southeast facing swell. That's going to be coming into the coast, and I would say 2 to 3 feet as you get offshore. You're going to still have a little bit of a swell built in. We back up in time, we see the waves are just going to be subsiding coming off of the first, which is Friday, from the southeast flow, and then we're going to be seeing that back down. But we could still easily see 2, maybe even 3 foot just offshore out in the jetties or just beyond. So I would be prepared for 3 foot of swell out there, just in case as you get closer into the harbor. Of course, things die down. If the northerly wind in the morning is stronger, you'll see a little bit of ground swell across the harbor, maybe up to a foot, foot and a half. Anything stronger than that could push 2 feet. But these offshore winds have a tendency to clean things up just off the coastline, and even in between the jetties. It can be pretty smooth, even with the northerly wind. You have a little bit of capping through the middle of the jetties, but looks like things are going to be pretty good on the swell end. Nothing too crazy to be worried about. As far as air temperature, we're looking at about 71 degrees for Saturday. Let me go ahead and circle. Here's the high temperature for Saturday. It's 71, but it's going to be cool when you get out there in the morning. 52 degrees for the overnight low between Saturday night and Sunday morning. So it'll be somewhere probably right around 55 to 60 degrees when you get the race started at 9 o'clock a.m. So just keep that in mind. Sea surface temperatures right now are holding right around 75 degrees. If anything, we may drop a degree or so. So I'm anticipating not much of a drop, maybe 74 degrees for the sea surface temps. And with the air temps being right around 71, looks like things will be pretty stable for the northerly wind. I don't anticipate things getting too windy out there unless there was a huge temperature drop. Then we'd see a stronger gradient. But other than that, I think that'll do it for this preliminary forecast, and I'll be touching base back tomorrow night and also Friday at the Yacht Club meeting. Until next time, everyone, take care. Thanks for watching.